Hello everyone and welcome to the Kiki London YouTube channel. My name is Amanda and in today's video we are going to be doing some autumn nail art. I don't know about where you are, but it has taken a really autumn turn weather-wise here in the UK and I'm already seeing lots of autumn designs around. It is my absolute favourite time of the year, especially for nails, so I thought, you know what, for this week's video I'm going to jump in and we're going to do some fun autumn nail art. So I really hope you all enjoy watching. Now I am working on some display tips in today's video, so I don't need to do any prep or base coat, but of course if you are doing this on yourself or a client, you do need to come in and do your prep and base before you come in and apply your gel polish shades. Now for this set I've chosen vintage white for my kind of like my base color for my nail art design, and I really love this shade with autumnal tones. I feel as though it just looks beautiful. So if you kind of imagine when you're doing summer nail art and you're doing neons and pastels, a white base really makes those shades pop. I feel as though when you're doing an autumn set of nails, you don't want that bright poppy base, so vintage white is the perfect alternative if you still want a light shade base but you don't necessarily want to use a nude or a pink. As you can see, it is absolutely gorgeous. It's got this really cute creamy cashmere feel to it and I absolutely love it. So if you don't have this one in your collection, it is a shade that I highly recommend. As you can see, I've done 2 coats on all 4 of my tips, so our bases are now ready for some nail art. For the colors for today's video, I have chosen 3 shades from the Indian summer collection. First up we have Harvest Festival, which is this gorgeous vibrant warm orange. Now I absolutely love this collection for transitioning between summer and autumn. I feel as though a lot of the colors still do have a hint of summer to them, however they do give off autumn. As you can see here with Dahlia, it's a beautiful fuchsia pink, which definitely can be used through summer. Same here with Golden Hour, but when you pair them all together, it kind of gives more of an autumnal feel, so they're just great for transitioning. This had to be one of my favorite collections that launched last year, so I was really excited to get these shades out for this set. So I'm going to place all 3 of these colors down on my palette and we're going to be using them throughout all 4 of the nail designs. So I'm putting a generous amount down. A lot of the time when it comes to nail art, you're going to find that your colors a little bit goes a long way. So I'm just popping a small amount down on my palette so that we don't have too much wasted. And then for our first design, we're going to be doing a kind of like a textured look using the ombre brush. So although it's the ombre brush, we're not going to be using it for an ombre. And I'm going to start off by loading up my brush but then wiping off a lot of the excess so that we still get that space between the bristles. And then I'm going to start gently getting this down on the nail, and like I said, I want that textured look, so when I'm placing it down on the nail I'm keeping the color quite dense in the center, but I really want that texture on the edges, and that's why I opted for the ombre brush, so we can get that kind of abstract look. Now what I am doing is I'm flash curing each of these colors for 10 seconds so that they don't start blending together, and then whilst that's flash curing for 10 seconds I am cleaning off my brush on a little bit of alcohol so that we don't mix the shades together. So we went in with Dahlia first and it has added such a gorgeous splash of kind of like a berry pink, and then we're coming in with Golden Hour, which I do feel gives us that bit of a summery look still. It's nice and bright. Again, flash curing Golden Hour for 10 seconds and then going in, cleaning up my brush and coming in with Harvest Festival, which I feel gives more of the early autumn vibes. I think this is the perfect September shade. So then again, I'm overlapping these slightly, but I'm mainly focusing on keeping that textured look. So you don't want to go in with too much gel polish on your brush when you're doing this. You can also do this technique with the stripe liner brush if you don't have the ombre brush. It does just take a little bit more time because you're having to do those lines individually. I'm then going to pop that in for a full 30-second cure because we have only been flash curing the colors, and then we're going to be adding some foils into these designs. So I've got the classic metallic foils here and I'm kind of just trying to decide which one out of these 2 to pair up with the colors that I've chosen, and I decided to go for the matte gold. Originally when I planned this design I planned on matte top coating, but I changed my mind right at the last minute. But I love that I included the matte foil because I feel as though it gives you that layered texture look, having that matte foil against the glossy shades. Now, because I'm only wanting to apply this foil to a certain section of the nail, I'm going to wipe off that tacky inhibition layer from all of the gel polish shades that we've used so that our foil only sticks where we've applied our foil gel. Again, I want to come in and create this textured look with the foil. So I've come in and I've applied a small amount of foil gel to my palette, and then I'm going to do exactly the same as what we did with the colours, but with the foil gel, but I'm going to go in the opposite direction. So I'm going to go across those colours, keeping it kind of light and thin because I don't want to cover up too much of those shades that we've popped down. And then we're going to pop that in to cure for 30 seconds. And then once that foil gel is cured, you want to come straight in and start tapping on your foil. And I'm tapping on with a really light, gentle foil because the metallic foils do transfer absolutely effortlessly. If you are new to foils, these are the ones that I highly recommend starting out with because they transfer so easily. And then for the final layer in this layered abstract autumnal look, we're going to come on and stamp on some leaves. So I'm going to take some black stamping polish, apply this to my plate, scrape off the excess, and then with a quick flick of the wrist, I'm going to pick that up onto my stamper, remove the excess using a lint roller, and then we're just going to place this down. I wanted it so it was going across that gold foil, and I love how it looks. It has covered up the look slightly, but I love how you've got a little bit of everything going on. You've got your colours, your foils, and then the stamped leaves. I'm going to pop that aside and we will top coat all of the nails at the end. So we're going to move on to our second look. So on this one, I wanted to come in and have kind of like a bold splash of one of the colours. So I opted for Dahlia because I really felt as though this one paired the most beautiful with the vintage white base. So I'm coming on and I started off drawing this kind of sort of wavy shape, but then I felt as though it looked a little bit too wavy, so I rounded it off a little bit. So just come in, made it a little bit higher, and then rounded it off. I didn't want it to be like a perfect circular shape on the nail, but I didn't want it looking as wavy as what it was. So I'm doing all of this with the stripe liner brush. I'm even colouring it in with the stripe liner brush just for ease, especially if you're working on yourself or a client and you've got a small space to work on. I find it a lot easier to just continue working with that stripe liner brush rather than swapping it to the bottle brush. We've popped that in to cure for 30 seconds, and then we're going to wipe off the tacky inhibition layer. Same reason as before, we're going to be coming in with foils, and I only want these foils to stick in a certain part of the nail. So by removing that tacky layer, you don't have to stress too much about your foils sticking all over the nail. Then what I'm going to do is, sticking with my stripe liner brush, I'm going to create like a circular shape using the foil gel. Again, it doesn't have to be this perfect circular shape. It's just kind of like a bit of a wavy circle. And I want it to layer over the vintage white and the Dahlia so that you're going to get that pop of gold over the top of both colours. It is a little bit tricky to paint with the foil gel because obviously it's clear. So do just take your time and get it as best as you can. If it's not perfect, once you've applied your foils, you can neaten up edges and things like that by just wiping any excess foil off with a little bit of alcohol or acetone. So once we've cured that foil gel, I'm just pressing on the same foil that we used previously, and as you can see, it's transferred beautifully, and I love that effect that it gives where it's a matte foil rather than a shiny foil. I did have a few little areas that I wasn't 100% happy with, so I've just taken a little bit of alcohol on to my detail brush and I'm very carefully cleaning up just to kind of get a more smoother line. And I'm doing this with alcohol rather than acetone because it's only a small amount of foil to remove, and I don't want to start breaking down that gel polish that we've got underneath because we haven't top coated it yet, so that acetone will start breaking it down. Then again, we're going to come on and add on one of our little stamped leaves. If you don't do stamping, you could do this with water decals or even foils, or of course, if you're comfortable and confident enough, you can do hand painting as well. I find stamping the easiest when it comes to layered nail art. And this was my favorite nail in the set. I would happily wear a full set of this look, but maybe changing the Dahlia to different autumnal shades, and I think it would look gorgeous in a full set, because I know, or even as an accent nail in a set of nails. So maybe just having the stamping and the foil on the ring finger and a solid colour on the others, but I just loved how this one looked. Moving on to the next nail, I'm going to start off by cleaning off my base, so wiping off the tacky inhibition layer from my base, because I just want to add some foils around the edges. So I've wiped over with a little bit of alcohol, removed that tacky layer, and then I'm coming in with my foil gel and kind of just doing a wavy frame around the edge of the nail. This was a little bit tricky. Like I said, translucent gel, it can be quite hard to see where you're going. So I'm trying my best to make the waves how I want them to look. I didn't want it to be too straight, but I did want to make sure that I was framing the entire nail. I then popped that in to cure for 30 seconds, and as always, I apply my foils as soon as it comes out of the light. So we're just going to start pressing this on. It really does only need a light press with the metallic foils, but here you can see my tip decided it wanted to start taking itself off the holder, so it was making it a little bit tricky, especially where we're pressing around the edges of the nails. I always find foils a lot easier to do on myself or someone else compared to display tips. I'm doing my best here just to come around the edge of the nail. It did look a little bit messy in certain places, so I'm going to come in and clean that up with a little bit of alcohol, exactly the same as before. I'm using my detail brush to do this, but you could also use the round or the angled nail art brush. I stuck with my detail brush just because it's a smaller brush, so I can get quite close without taking too much of the foil off. I then decided to just touch up in a few little places, and then I wanted to add on some glitter. So I've taken a VIP Gold, which is a gorgeous multi-cut glitter mix, but it's set in a clear gel, so it's great for adding to nail art because there's no actual color to the gel. You're just simply adding on gold glitter, and where it has got the multi sizes, there's some finer pieces and some more chunkier pieces as well, but there's nothing too chunky that you're going to get a thick or uneven application, especially when you're doing that layered nail art. Anything too chunky can make things a little bit harder, or you've got to do more steps to get it smooth. So I love this one if I'm ever wanting to add glitter into a nail design. So I'm kind of coming over the foil gel with this, and because it's set in a clear gel, it's not actually going to cover up any of the foil, and then I'm just adding on more glitter where I want it and less glitter in certain places, kind of just to help frame that and add a little bit more of a textured look, which I really liked, especially again against that vintage white base. This shade just goes beautifully with anything. We are then going to come in after we've cured our glitter and top coat, just so we're creating a nice smooth surface for our layer of stamping on this nail, just because where we've got our base and then we've added a layer of foil gel, our foils, and then the glitter, we want it to kind of even out a little bit and be a little bit more smooth. So I'm going to come in, top coat, cure that top coat for 30 seconds, and then this is a little trick I do if I want to add stamping to a nail but I haven't got a stamping color in a stamping polish shade in that color. So for example, this nail, I wanted to have my leaves in orange and yellow, but I didn't have an orange and yellow that matched well with the two gel polish shades I used. So I want to use those gel polish shades in my stamping. So what I'll do is I'll stamp my image down in white, exactly the same as any kind of stamping, but then I'll come over the top with my gel polish shade. So it's kind of like cheating with hand painting in a way, because you've stamped the image down but then you're coming over the top with hand painting. But I'll do this if I haven't got a stamping polish shade that I want, but I have that shade in gel polish. So for example, here we're going to come over the top and paint over the top of this stamped image with Harvest Festival, and I really loved how this looked, and it just made the whole set a lot more cohesive, because I really find it difficult to find stamping shades that are exactly the same as the gel polish shades. So, and then if you use a slightly different orange, it just doesn't flow well in the set, especially when it's a set of nails where you've had lots of colors going on. So obviously in the previous two designs, you see Harvest Festival quite a lot. It's just not going to work if we added in a different type of orange. So I come over the top of my stamping image, colored it in basically using Harvest Festival, and it worked beautifully. So you don't need to stress too much if you can still see little bits of the white, because you can just, after curing your gel polish, wipe them off, because obviously where it's not been top coated and stamping polish is similar to regular polish, it will wipe off unlike gel polish would. So you can just wipe off that excess after curing your gel polish if you wish. So once we've done the first colour, I'm going to stamp on my next set of leaves, and I want these to layer just ever so slightly. So I'm just going to come in, stamp that on exactly the same as before, and then colour this one in, but this time we're going to colour it in with Golden Hour, because I'd used Dahlia on its own on the previous nail, and on the next nail I knew that I was using all 4 of the colours, so I wanted to make sure we were getting in a little bit of the yellow and orange on their own on this nail, just so they're highlighted as well, and again so it flows nicely through the entire set. Although these are kind of individual designs, I did feel as though it still worked as a set if you're into really like a lot of nail art. I know that's not really what's trendy at the moment. Minimalist nails are a lot more trendy at the moment, so you could easily do a minimalist set of nails and then just add in one of these designs as accent nails. So maybe like on the ring finger and the thumb, I think looks quite cute. Anyway, we're just going to colour this in with our gel polish and stripe liner brush. I find it easy to do this with either the stripe liner brush or the detail brush. The stripe liner brush is my go-to brush though, and it has recently just restocked. So if you are looking to purchase it and it was previously out of stock, then I would go grab it now whilst you can. I absolutely love this brush. I think I say it in every video, but there's not a set of nails I do where I don't use this brush. So once we'd cured that for 30 seconds, that was this design finished. This one did have a little bit more of a summery feel compared to the autumn looks in the previous ones. But like I said, I think these colours just work perfectly for transitioning between summer and autumn. On to the 4th and final design, we're going to use our ombre brush like we did on the first design to create that textured look, but this time we're covering the whole nail, and instead of flash curing each colour, we're going to blend those colours together a little bit. So I've popped down Harvest Festival to begin with, cleaned off my brush, and then I'm going to come in with Dahlia, and I'm not necessarily blending them like you would an ombre. I don't want this fade or this gradient look. I just want the colours to splash over the top of each other, and they will blend ever so slightly, and again it gives this really gorgeous rough textured look. I love this look or this technique for a base for any other kind of nail art. I think it's just a great way to incorporate a load of colors on a nail and create a really gorgeous base for things like foils over the top, stamping over the top, hand painting. And it works for whatever season you're in, because you can just pick shades that suit that season, or if there's a specific design that you're looking to do. So once I had got all those shades down and covered the nail, I popped that in to cure for 30 seconds. Ideally, if I'd have known I was going to do this design on this nail, I wouldn't have needed to do 2 coats of vintage white. I would have just done the 1 coat so that there was a nice neutral base. But I had a different design in mind for this nail, and then I changed my mind as we got to it. So that's why there was the 2 coats of vintage white done. But if you was copying this look, you could just do 1 coat, or even if you'd used a rubber colour base, you wouldn't need to come in with a gel polish base, because the colours are pigmented enough to not need a colour underneath, or especially 2 coats of colour underneath. So on the top of this look, I'm going to come in with some gold stamping, and I want to cover the entire nail in the different leaves again, so you're going to still see splashes of colour, but we've got those gold tones coming through that match the foils we've used on previous nails. So I've just added on 2 large leaves, and then this kind of like little berry this little berry image. I'm going to use just little bits of that around the edge of the nail, and I really loved how this one looked. So that is all 4 of our designs complete. I really loved how these turned out, but do let me know in the comments below which one was your favorite. I'm then going to of course come in and top coat, and I've opted today to top coat with the No Wipe Crystal top coat. This is one of the latest top coats from Kiki London, and it has an absolute stunning shine. You guys have been absolutely loving it, and I can see why. It is just absolutely beautiful. Originally, like I said, I planned on doing this set matte, and I'm really tempted to pop a matte top coat over them just to see what they look like, but I decided to stick with glossy just because I really loved how vibrant the colors were looking. But if I wanted to make these look a little bit more autumnal, I do think the matte top coat would give you that. Anyway, we're just going to apply a thin coat of this to all of the nails, and then pop this in to cure for 60 seconds in the Kiki London Deluxe LED lamp, and then that, guys, is the end of the design. So I have left a clip of the finished result and a couple of pictures for you all to check out. Do let me know what you thought of this one in the comments below. And do let me know if you want to see more autumn designs, or if there are any particular designs that you have in mind that you would like to see. Pop them in the comments below and I'll see if I can give them a go. If you did enjoy this look, please do give it a thumbs up. And if you're not already subscribed to the Kiki London channel, please do hit that subscription button, and I shall see you all again next Friday. I hope you all have a wonderful weekend. Lots of love. Take care. Bye bye.